What's up? Welcome to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, right here on YouTube and wherever you find our podcast. I'm Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for being with us. It is time for our coverage of the Bears in the NFL draft. Here we are. It is me, Jonathan Hood, along with cousin Wiley and CJ Taylor. Here we are, ready for the draft,
Well,
and we want
fellas,
you to give your comments in the chat as we get ready for what the Bears could or could not do at 10. We'll find out if they're going to stand pat at 10. Cuzzo, good to see you back from overseas.
Good to be back.
Overseas could be Stony Island, of course.
Right.
And there's
right.
there's CJ Taylor as well. What's up from the CTJ report? Thanks for joining me, sir.
no problem. What's going on, fellas?
Well, you know what's going on is this Bears and NFL draft. The Panthers are up right now, and we hope to see what the Bears will do at 10. Just want to get your thoughts, Cuzzo, first about how the draft's been going. Clearly, the Jacksonville Jaguars are giving it one last shot here to try to support their quarterback and their team. They have been a mess for a long time, so they make a deal with the Cleveland Browns early in the first round.
But it was probably one of the worst trades I've seen in the past 5 to 10 years. They traded up a few spots, multiple first-round picks, second-round pick, fourth-round pick to get a hybrid player, probably the best player on the board, but not a franchise-altering player that you risk giving up multiple early first-round picks because they're going to be picking early in the draft next year as well. So you're doing that for a slash player that, probably won't be able to live up to the hype because he's trying to play multiple positions in the NFL. So I didn't understand the trade. It to me, it made more sense to stand pat, either draft wide receiver, pick up Graham, and then hold on to your picks because you need more talent. You're not that close where it's worth gambling and saying, hey, you know what, Travis Hunter's going to put us over the top. I don't think Travis Hunter puts you over the top, especially when you have Fabio at your quarterback. Doesn't happen.
CJ, what are your thoughts early in the draft as we get ready for number 9 right around the corner?
Well, I mean, as we're looking at this, Ryan Poles has his, kind of his options to do what he wants, at 10. He can choose to take the best player available, whatever he thinks that is. He can choose to move down and secure more draft picks, but he's got options, and hopefully he can either make the right decision at 10, maybe pick up an edge rusher. Hopefully, maybe if there's another solid tackle there, because we're going to need another tackle to complement Darnell Wright on the right side. I would prefer to keep Darnell on the right side, by the way. But again, Poles has options, and as this draft kind of continues to play itself out, we'll see what he's going to do in the next couple of picks or so.
Yeah, so much for the prayer circle for Mason Graham as we try to do this morning on the Cap and J Hood morning show. Was hoping that he would fall to 10, and clearly that prayer circle, the lights went out when he went early in the draft. We kind of knew that he'd be going a little higher. He was around that 10 or 11 marker, I think, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but it was a must-have for Mason Graham. Ted McMillan was drafted by the Carolina Panthers from Arizona, the wide receiver. My man says that he doesn't watch film, Ted McMillan.
Yes.
He's like, I'm not a film guy, and not necessarily a fan of the National Football League either. One thing I noticed, like, he's from Hawaii, but he spent time in Anaheim, California, and he's just like, yeah, I like football, but not really into the NFL. If he's going to play on this level, he better be into something that's NFL. But that was his comment leading into the draft. So Ted McMillan off the board for Carolina.
Yeah, life's going to have a way of humbling him real quick, and he'll be in the field.
Yes. Very quick.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So what Cuzzo is talking about is Jaguars trading up to 2 to get Travis Hunter in the NFL draft. And again, the Browns moved down 3 spots Cleveland received the number 5 pick and a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick and on and on. And again, Browns selected our guy Mason Graham. That would have been great as a Chicago Bear, but now as a Cleveland Brown. It's interesting. If there was more quarterbacks that were worthy in the draft, I think the Browns would have drafted one. Since Brother Lotion is going to be out for a while, Deshaun Watson right now they're down to Joe Flacco. So it's where they are right now. That's the starter right there. Him and Kenny Pickett. That's on the depth chart right now for the Browns.
That's terrible.
That's his first pick in the next year's draft right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Derek Carr's dealing with some shoulder injuries. He had a career low of 15 passing touchdowns for New Orleans. The pick is in, by the way, for the Saints, and the Bears would be next. I'm thinking they go quarterback here. So maybe that opens up again someone that
Sanders or Dark.
Someone that the Bears covet.
Yes.
Someone that the Bears could utilize at 10.
Yeah.
But we will see with the Saints. I came up with a stat earlier today. Do you know that the Saints have not drafted a quarterback in the first round in 50 years?
I saw that.
Yeah, in 50
I saw
years.
That's wild.
So maybe now is the time for them to be able to get themselves a quarterback, because we know Carr is not necessarily the answer for the Saints. So the commissioner is moseying up and booed, by the way, in Green Bay. And so we're going to find out what the Saints will do with their selection. I know one of you guys have it on ESPN. I'm watching the NFL draft, and it's Kellen Banks Jr.
Banks, yeah.
Can we? Hey, don't drop the baby.
Green Bay.
Don't drop the baby. Hold on a second. The baby almost fell out of the old girl's arms. You see that? What? Careful now.
Well, you can't put the ring on that one. So,
that's a future left tackle right there.
That baby almost just fell to the floor.
That was a little bit
Kelvin
of a gut
Banks.
punch.
Yeah. Tell why do you think that, CJ?
I was hoping he would slide to 10 and be right there for the Bears to pick him up. So seeing him, with the Saints, great pickup for them. As they also need some help on their offensive line, because their quarterbacks all got beat up last year. So with him now off the board, now it's going to be really interesting to see what Ryan Poles decides to do. So
do you trade back? Do you go Warren? Do you go I like Pierce as the next edge rusher off the board, but I'm not sure if 10 is too high for him. But I would probably lean more towards him as an edge. I don't think you're drafting another offensive lineman this early. So
yeah.
Huh?
I was just going to say, as much as I am always believing that it's like going to the grocery store. If I sent you to the grocery store to get milk, why do you bring me Comet? Right? Only because it's on sale. It's really about needs. The Bears really need to bolster their defensive line. I'm still not convinced that they have enough on their defensive line, because as all the hammers and nails they put on the offensive line, I'm happy with that. But at the same time, defensively, I'm not sure if that defensive line is ready to go. I believe in the linebackers, the secondary, but not the line yet.
Then to me, go Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson makes your.
Wow. Oh, that was fast. Okay.
Picks in. Boy, they want to get this done by 10 o'clock. Well, first of all, it's Green Bay, so you want to get out as quickly as possible. But the pick is in for the Bears, folks. Well, here we go. I got some stories there I'm going to tell you in a minute about Green Bay and people there in Green Bay. It has not been great, by the way. I mean, the idea is maybe go to Milwaukee, a little bit more metropolitan than Green Bay, but there's people sleeping in tents out there, I think. It's tough. It's tough sledding. But the pick is in. What do you think, guys? What position do they address?
Will Johnson.
It's got to be edge rusher.
I agree. It's probably edge rusher, but I wouldn't be surprised. I know not a running back. That's at least not now.
You can't be.
Well, Jancy's off the board. Like you don't reach for Hampton or Marion Hampton. So, all right, is this little jazz hands, or are they coming up with the pick? Schedule release in 25.
It's lovely. Buck.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't see that. Is that from Adam Schefter? Or do you
From
think it's going to
Briggs.
be?
Some Briggs.
Well,
No,
hang on.
Biggs.
Okay. I like to see the commissioner come up there first. I always like a second source on these things, guys.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Hold on. Tight end Colston Loveland from Michigan. That's being reported by Brad Biggs. I see that now. I do not see
Yeah.
Schefter have that yet, but Colston Loveland, tight end. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, hang on a second. So Loveland over Warren. Warren has not been drafted yet, right? From Penn State?
No.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's see the official word from the commissioner, but please leave your comments as we are on here live, just covering the draft to see what the Bears are going to do at 10. And so Brad Biggs from the Chicago Tribune is saying that Colston Loveland will be the pick for the Bears. And okay,
I'm assuming Ben Johnson likes him, but to me, he's not the best tight end prospect on the board. And he's not the guy I'm drafting at 10.
Well, there's a lot of celebration here. That's the look into the draft room for the Chicago Bears. They feel like they got their guy, and so if that is the case, well, CJ, let me get your thoughts on this first.
I mean, I don't hate it. At the same time, I don't love it. You know, I just think that there were there was just better needs, and specifically the defensive line, to really just, you know, bolster that pressure up front with the front four. But again, Ben Johnson's at the helm now, so you know he's looking to really just bolster his offense.
So let's get the official word here from the commissioner. Hang on a second, Cuzzo. They're talking about Mongo's passing. Of course, we had a dedication to him on the Cap and J Hood show this morning, talking about the passing of Mongo from a long battle with ALS, and we had his teammate Tom Thayer on as well to talk about Mongo, and you know that's just what you saw on television is exactly who he was. I was able to be blessed to work with him doing pre and post game work on ESPN 1000, so. And of course, as a wrestling guy, to watch him do his Fred Flintstone fast feet in the ring thing in WCW was also a kick as well. He laughs at his own wrestling career. But he said that was harder than football for him being a wrestler because of all the training it goes in and just the steps and just the rhythm of it all. So yeah, I'm happy that Mongo's able to see that. I'm glad that he was able to see himself into the Football Hall of Fame before he passed.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that was special. That was a special moment. You know, his family and teammates around him during that induction ceremony. So I'm glad he did get to see it. So looks like here we go. All right,
that's official.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's break this down. Again, we want your comments about the Chicago Bears taking Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. So Colston Loveland, it's not necessarily a big surprise because we've seen the two tight end sets that Ben Johnson used when he was with Detroit. And with Cole coming, it doesn't mean Cole's been pushed out the door. It's just that they want to be a little bit more dynamic in the tight end position. Not mad about that. I just know that moving forward in this draft now, you better decide to figure out this defensive line because what they did by getting Jared and Dio is fine, but you need more. You need more depth in the defensive line. So not a surprise, right? And here's why. When Eberflus got here, he kept telling Ryan Poles, I want to get my kind of linebackers in there. And because a defensive coordinator, who he is, decide to get defensive guys. Offensive guy like Ben Johnson says, yeah, I got a really good depth chart of offensive guys, but I need one more tight end. And I feel like in some ways it's a hat on a hat. When you wear a hat, you don't need two, Cuzzo. You just need one. And so Caleb Williams, he's got more riches than any second-year quarterback that I've ever seen. Because so he's got Noah's Ark. He's got 2 of everything, right? 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. You've got 3 new offensive linemen. You've got Braxton Jones. You've got Darnell Wright. You got 2 wide receivers plus, and I'm sure they'll try to find another veteran as well as a slot guy. So he's got everything. Usually in this spot, when you're a second-year quarterback, you got 1 guy, maybe 1 tight end, maybe 1 wide receiver, maybe 1 offensive lineman. Shit, he's got everything. Okay, so the install is there. So now it's on Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams to be on the same page. Because of your reaction to the tight end.
I'll be honest, I thought Warren was a better prospect. So if I was looking at a prospect who had a higher ceiling, to me, Warren had the highest ceiling of any of the tight ends on the board. I'm willing to give Ben Johnson the benefit of the doubt because this is a guy that he clearly wanted, and so they targeted him. I don't think this was a Poles pick because Poles just gave Kmet new money a couple years ago. So I think this is more so Ben Johnson saying, hey, I think this guy can help our offense. He can play a role like I forget the kid from Detroit they picked up a couple years ago. He can play that type of role, and he can help us win games. So I'm willing to give Ben Johnson the benefit of the doubt, but personally, I don't love the pick. I don't even like the pick. So, yeah.
CJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Cousin Wiley. It was it's a Ben Johnson pick. Clearly, with this pick, you can see that Ben Johnson right now is completely at the helm. He's making all the calls here to try to bolster his offense to give Caleb Williams all the tools that he could possibly want to be able to have a really good offense to run this coming season. Again, my preference, I would have taken an edge rusher here at 10 to bolster your defense. But clearly, this is where we're at with Ben Johnson. He's an offensive guy. So I think we're going to see with maybe these first couple of picks with Ben Johnson really targeting best offensive talent that's going to be there on the board as we move through. Whereas this is what we've been used to kind of in years past, where you may get a wide receiver here. Of course, they drafted Caleb Williams last year because they had to. They needed a quarterback, but they've typically have targeted defensive players with their higher picks. So now we're seeing a changing of the guard now with Ben Johnson. Clearly, he's that guy. He's at the helm, and I just think Ryan Poles more or less not necessarily taking orders from Ben Johnson, but just really saying, okay, Ben, who do you want? Let me go get him.
Okay, so my thought is that I understand that Ben Johnson, as we just talked about, has used guys 2 tight end sets. But again, just because the head coach says I need an extra tight end, does that mean that you have a problem with Cole Kmet? You don't think Cole Kmet's a complete player, that you need a second tight end? Okay, if that's how you feel, that's fine. But again, I just think that when you go to the first round, you try to get the best of the best. Either in the scraps of free agency or in the draft, you have to address the offense and defensive line. Like the Chicago Bears, as we know as Bears fans, dude, we've been a Big Ten team, the traditional Big Ten team forever. Mm-hmm. We know this, right? We have been running the football and playing strong defense forever, and a lot of losses in that way too, because of the cold weather, and you've got to be able to run the football on the tall grass and all that bullshit, right? So when you supply this much offensive talent, it's the most guys that we've seen in our lifetimes as Bears fans, quite frankly. It's a lot for a team that's usually running the football or having 1 wide receiver or a tight end. So you're trying to kind of reinvent what Chicago Bears football is. That's great. But guys, if you do not have enough on the trenches, you're not going anywhere. I mean, you might be a good fantasy football team, but you won't get to where you need to be if you do not have guys in the trenches. And so you go ahead and have Colston Loveland now. I'm looking at the depth chart, just updated on my depth chart. Colston Loveland, starter. Cole Kmet, second on this depth chart. It's like, man, that was quick.
Tight end one.
My God, TE1. But the offensive line with Tooney and Dahlman and Jackson, I'm glad that they did that. But how long does that last, right? I'm glad Tooney's there because that's leadership and he can get the job done when it comes to Kansas City. But you wonder about Braxton Jones after this season. Darnell Wright, who is a stud at right tackle. When Ryan Poles brought up the possibility of him moving to the left, I'm like, what? You're moving him to left tackle? Like he just him bring that up. I just know that on the defensive line, along with Montez Sweat, who was not 100% last year, you need to know who Javon Dexter is. You need to know who else from a depth standpoint can help this defensive line and rotational standpoint. So getting a tight end feels like it's not excessive, but I feel like you really need to take care of your trenches first in this draft, and they went tight end.
Well, I think if anything, because we're running out of excuses for Caleb Williams not to be effective in year 2. So, I mean, we can paint Eberflus and Waldron as boobs for what they did last year, and it's true, but it's all on Caleb now. He has a proven offensive coordinator. He has weapons at every level. It's up to him to produce like the number 1 pick and not like a middle of the road starter in year 2. So like there is no excuse other than injury. Like if he breaks his neck, okay, fine, he can't produce. Outside of that, he needs to produce at a high level.
So what are we looking at here? And that's a great point you just brought up, Wiley, about Caleb Williams really having 0 excuses. So what's going to be like the floor, for this Bears team? You've got 2 tight ends, 2, maybe 3 wide receivers. The interior of your offensive line is set. It's a veteran presence, that's going to be able to, bring along, Darnell Wright as well. If Braxton Jones is healthy, you can bring him along as well. So your offensive line up the middle is solid. What's the floor? What is Caleb going to have to do, to really satisfy Bears fans to get to that next step? Because last year, as you talked about, incompetent head coaching and offensive coaches, and still pass for over 3,500 yards and 20 touchdowns. Yeah. What's got to be that next step for Caleb Williams? Because you're right, he's out of excuses. Like he can't even say, "Hey, my offensive line failed me," or my running backs weren't healthy, or I couldn't necessarily gel with all of my receivers. You've got 5 receivers, like legit receivers, coming into this season. So what are we looking at here in terms of what's going to be the measure of success for Caleb Williams and for the Bears offense?
Well, at this time, so you go from 5 wins to trying to get 4 or 5 more wins to get yourself in the playoffs. And that has to be led by this offense. You know what the ceiling is? Scoring in the first quarter.
Right.
scoring in the fucking second quarter. How about that? Like, because we saw how many games did we see where it's like, if I came in the third quarter and they haven't scored, I'm good. I'll come to the Soldier Field in the third quarter because that's when they'll start scoring, or late in the fourth. And again, the thing that's so strange about it is that we can't even tell the story of, well, the Bears have a lot of injuries, so that's why they went 5-12. Those guys were relatively healthy.
Yes.
I'm talking about the offensive weapons. They're relatively healthy, and they still went 5-12, and they still were, pedestrian at best at times offensively.
I think they had 1 touchdown in the first quarter last year. 1. Like by accident, you should do better than that. With the talent they had on offense, just by accident, you should do better than that. So if this isn't a top 10 offense next year, unless a plane crashes, to me, you failed the quarterback again. That to me, if this isn't a top 10 offense with the talent you have around Caleb, we may have failed the quarterback again, because there's no excuse. Looking at the talent on this team, I don't know a Bears team from top to bottom on offense that's been this good in my life. Maybe the Matt Forte years with the Bears and Cutler, but I still think this team is better more when it comes to talent. So, yeah,
this team on paper is better than those Cutler-led teams, because you did have Matt Forte and whichever year you want to have as your number 1 receiver, whether it was Brandon Marshall or somebody else, a decent tight end, but not tight ends of the caliber of a Cole Kmet. And we'll see what this young kid is able to do. They clearly don't have clearly didn't have the wide receiving core that Caleb Williams has now. So, yeah, is top 10 a stretch? I don't think so.
Well, but here's the thing about this. And again, if you're just joining us, Colston Loveland was taken with the first pick of the draft by the Chicago Bears, the number 10 pick overall. The Bears didn't go up. They didn't go down. They stayed right there at 10, and it took the tight end from Michigan, Colston Loveland, who, by all accounts, is a better tight end, Cuzzo, than Tyler Warren as far as the compliment to Cole Kmet, because that's a thing, too. They look at who can compliment Cole Kmet, and they felt like Loveland was the guy. And so, this is Ben Johnson's version of Sam Laporta, and we will see. And by the way, he better be as good as Sam Laporta for the number 10 pick of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, especially when you needed other things, you decide to go in this direction. Okay, no problem. I just think that when it comes to Caleb Williams, guys, just remember one thing that Ben Johnson said, and that is that we have to tear the bad habits of Caleb Williams all the way down to the studs and build him back up. How long does that take to build a quarterback back up? I mean, for him to say it that way, clearly there's some bad habits under Eberflus and all the other coaches and Brown. And he said, well, we got to build it up and we got to get his confidence and all this other stuff. It's like, well, shit. I mean, I'm looking for the playoffs. I want a Houston Texans type run. I want a Washington Commanders type run if you're going to do it that way, where he's just all of a sudden can see the field a lot better. All I know is he's got a lot of weapons, and I hope that he doesn't get confused with all these weapons because, everybody wants to eat on this offense. I just hope that's efficient and it works, and they move the ball, and it looks great. But I have never seen this many weapons offensively for a Chicago Bears team. They keep topping themselves with weapons. But who are you going to stop on the defensive line? That's the question.
He has the offseason because, though, I think Caleb has, doesn't get it a year to ramp up or any shit like that. Like, he needs to, game one, be playing at a near elite level. Mm-hmm. Game one. So whatever Ben needs to do this offseason to make Caleb a better quarterback or build him back up, it's just this offseason. I can't go into year 3 wondering if Caleb will be elite. He's an NFL starter, period. Like, that part we've accomplished. It's the elite part that we're looking at. When you're number 1 and the guy behind you is rookie of the year, you need to reach that elite level, because if you're not elite, it doesn't matter. We didn't draft you number 1 to be an NFL quarterback. We could have kept Justin Fields for that. We drafted you number 1 to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback within a few years. So he needs to get there.
And quickly.
Yeah.
You're right, Cuzzo. You got this offseason. You got these OTAs, you got this training camp. You have to, Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams basically need to be joined at the hip from this point going forward, because once the regular season starts, I don't think fans are going to have the patience to sit through another 6-11 year or 5-12 season and be like, well, we can go into next off season because now Caleb has 2 years under his belt. Nah, that's not going to fly. Not this year. Not with what's, could be potentially developing with this team. He's got this year. We've seen it with CJ Stroud. We've seen it with Jaden Daniels in Washington. Like, no, you got to produce this year because something I even talked about, Ryan Poles has 0 excuses. You got your quarterback, you got your head coach, you beefed up your offensive line, you've got your quarterback weapons, 0 excuses coming into this season. Now, does that translate into getting them into the playoffs? Yeah, that would be nice. But we have to see something, I think, as Bears fans to be able to like really truly have confidence in what Ryan Poles is doing. So it's got to happen this year. Like 9 and 8 for me, I think is the floor, the basement for me. like anything under that, like
Yeah.
we got to really take a look at Ryan Poles and have a real conversation about what he has done with this team, since he's become the GM.
Cuzzo,
I look at
let me ask you a question. Do you think that Cole Kmet is a top 5 tight end in the league?
Talent-wise, he's probably, if not top 5, he's definitely top 10, no question. So he's in that 5 to 10 range to me. Without
someone's got to be 10. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, because clearly the Bears don't think that he is definitely not top 5. That you're going to bring in a pass catching tight end. And what's happening right now, right, on social, like all of his highlights is just all over social right now as a pass catching tight end, and like he gets separation like a wide receiver at 6'5", 250. I'm seeing all of this right now, and I feel like that the Chicago Bears say we like Cole Kmet, but we don't love Cole Kmet, and that's why we're going to bring in someone, because Colston's not here to play fucking special teams.
Right.
Say that. Mm-hmm. he ain't doing that. He ain't just some extra that's going to be on the bench, man. Like, they are going to employ him to be able to be a pass catching tight end. And when they see Cole Kmet, they're like, yeah, we like Cole. He blocks sometimes. He makes some good catches, but the whole read on Cole Kmet is it's not all his fault. Look at the time he's been here. He's Greg Olsen 2.0. Like we appreciate Greg when he was here, but look who Greg had to work with, right? Didn't get the ball enough. Last year, it's supposed to be Cole Kmet's job, and then a guy from Seattle comes in, and it's just like, how is he getting Cole's touches? So I'm just saying, there's a reason why they got Colston Loveland. Not just because they do 2 tight end sets, is because they feel like they upgraded at the tight end position, which I thought was a little bit of a luxury instead of taking care of the offensive or defensive line.
I hope that Ben Johnson is right. Like I didn't suspect Ben Johnson was a Cole Kmet guy to begin with, but I hope he's right on Loveland, and I hope Warren isn't Kelsey in a couple years, because if he's wrong on Loveland and Warren is Kelsey in a couple years, this is bad. But to CJ's point, like I think it is definitely a case where it's a put up or shut up year for Poles.
Mm-hmm.
The talent is there. You got your coach. Granted, the schedule is really tough, but if we're not 9-8 and looking like a playoff team, especially on offense, then Ryan Poles is going to have a lot of questions to answer.
CJ, what do you think?
Yeah, this is we're going to see endless amounts of clips of this kid doing his thing over in Michigan. And I guess my question is, you drafted this kid at 10. If you're Ryan Poles, you paid Cole Kmet a nice sum of money to stick around. So something's got to give. If this kid turns out to be who Ben Johnson thinks he's going to be,
that's great. But again, my whole world when it came to this draft was getting better on the offensive defensive line. And I just think that, again, somewhere down the line, the Bears are going to have to be able to kind of bolster up their offensive line as far as their depth. I'm not trying to say that Amagaje is a bust. I'm just saying that Amagaje was not ready to play last year.
Yes.
You saw him out there.
Agreed.
72?
Yeah.
Just said the kid from Yale was a project. I thought it was arrogant. Like, 3rd-round pick from Yale? He better be special. Was not special in the first year. And so, like, that hopefully in a year or two is a thing. But the rest of it is Bill Murray. It's Doug Kramer, who they brought back. Why? Just don't put him at the goal line. That's what I say. He's not a fullback. He's an offensive lineman. That's a good idea.
What's your issue with Groundhog Day, Cuzzo?
Ryan Bates and Miles, Joshua Miles, And they got some other guys on the offensive line as well. That's like third string that are special teams guys. Like you have to figure out like if someone goes down, who steps in there that's versatile enough to make us, make a difference. So I don't know. And then on the defensive line, again, like Montez Sweat was fine. Montez Sweat ended up being a rotational player at the left defensive end. I'm like, why is he leaving the field? Where are you going?
Right.
Like as much as they paying you, why? Oh, he's got an ankle or like a kind of an injury he had last year. Javon Dexter, we don't know who he is yet. Jarrett, and then Dio, and then like Andrew Billings will be healthy now, could be a run stuffer, but that's not the story. The story is that who can get to the quarterback on a regular basis.
Does Booker take a leap this year? Yeah, right.
I mean, knock on wood,
Yeah.
He certainly looks the part, don't he?
Yeah.
Long arms, and he looks fleet of foot. Like I hope so.
And Dexter looked really good the first 3 games, and then Dexter just disappeared. Like he gets great push.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get to the quarterback. So if you're looking for a guy who can knock the guard on his ass, that's Dexter. But getting to the quarterback, he takes the wrong route. Bad pad level. But yeah, I don't know. Does this coaching change that? Because if you look at raw talent, you're like, Dexter should be fine. And he looked fine to start the season. And then when the Bears started losing, it was like, is Dexter playing? Yeah, he's on the field. Oh, well, he ain't doing shit. So it's like whatever happened with the Bears impacted like all of the young guys. It's like, oh, we lost again. Let's take this week off.
All right, as we read this, CJ, you're in charge of the draft so far. We're at number 14. We want to be able to recap this. Tyler Warren, the other tight end, the one that was coveted from Penn State, he just went to the Colts at 14. So we're going to need your so CJ, you're in charge of some of the picks that we've missed since we've been talking about the Bears taking Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. Jeffrey Strauss says, is this what Poles meant by wild? Because he did say that, right? We were playing it a lot this morning on Cap and J Hood. He's like, this draft could be wild. It could be wild. And I was thinking when he said wild, I thought he meant like not just the Bears, but everybody in the draft. Like there'd be a lot of movement. We did see the trade with Jacksonville and the Browns, but clearly Ben Johnson thought that it'd be great for him to have another tight end, and they took Loveland. That was one of the best on the board, not Tyler Warren. They think that Loveland was a better choice to go along with Cole Kmet as they push Kmet out the door at some point. So there's that. So, yeah, I thought it'd be wild too, Jeffrey, but not so wild. Let's see what we have here. Larry Henderson
went to Boston College, so it's a different type of wild for him. So you can't fault him for that.
It's snowing in here. Oh, it's snowing. Hey, how's it going?
Right.
So the Niners took Mikael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, at number 11.
Oh, sick 'em. There you go. Sick 'em. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's a nice pickup for the 49ers because they were dealing with some injury issues on their defense. Let's see. The Cowboys took offensive guard Tyler Booker out of Alabama.
Very good.
And and then the Dolphins went defensive tackle to get Kenneth Grant out of Michigan.
Also,
so we had a couple of good defensive linemen go right after the Bears.
So I just want to
go ahead.
I just want to say, if the Packers draft Will Johnson, I'm going to be sick. Just putting that out there.
Still on the board, right?
Yes.
Still on the board.
Okay. Still on the board. Got to refresh this thing since we've been talking about the Shedeur Sanders not taken yet. Is he in Green Bay, by the way? Is he in the room, or is he doing it from the compound in Colorado?
I don't remember seeing him in the green room. So
Milroe is there. Why is he there?
So Milroe, well, you don't get it. This nowadays, you don't get invited unless you're gonna go. Because back in the day, they wouldn't tell you, and you just be sitting there all day. So at some point, Milroe will be drafted in this first round. The Falcons are on the clock. So Shador not taken, Milroe not taken yet, Jackson Dart, the quarterback from Ole Miss, not taken yet. Tyler Shuck from Louisville, Quinn Ewers, huh? The quarterback from Texas. So yeah, let's see what else we have here. Oh, we have Larry Henderson Ministries have checked in. Amen. Shando. He comes in a Chevrolet. Larry Henderson believes that's a solid pick, blocking and passing as a priority. He definitely gets separation that we saw in college. And again, college and pro football is different. I'm a Saturday guy. I love my college football. And he was a beast. There's no question in the Big Ten. He looks so good in a Michigan uniform, CJ. He looked like he belongs in the SEC. He looked like he should be in the South. Wow. He was so good.
The Big Ten slander never stops.
So, not sure if this helps the debate, but Colston Loveland had shoulder surgery in January to repair his AC joint in his right shoulder. Jeff King says he should be ready for training camp. That's what your girl Courtney Cronin reported.
Keep our eyes on that.
I mean, it's always good to draft a player with a pre-existing injury, I guess. Just get it out of the way.
See,
always.
Here we go. Here we go.
I feel a rant coming on.
Well, if it's Cuzzo, not a surprise. Yeah, the AC joint. Yes, I see it here. Yeah. Courtney Cronin, you heard what Cuzzo said, folks. Yeah, that is a thing. But he runs fast for the tight end.
Right. That's it.
Oh,
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, Alan Garcia is not happy. He believes that the pick should have been Kelvin Banks, but he went a pick higher, right? I don't have it in front of me. Is it New Orleans?
Yep. He went to New Orleans. Yep.
So there you have it.
So was this really just the ploy? Because we heard all the rumors, in the hours leading up to the draft about the Bears wanting to get, Genty. I didn't really take much stock in that, into them really trading up to get to that spot where they may be able to take him. I always felt that they were really going to take either someone, a stud who was there on the offensive defensive line. But so again, them taking a tight end for me, a little bit of overkill, considering also that this kid's probably, as you said, TE1, which I'm sure has to make Cole Kmet feel a certain kind of way.
Well, look, it's just like anything else. From the time that he's been here, it's just been okay. It has not been spectacular. I know a lot of people like to hold on to Cole Kmet because it's a person that but he's been through a number of regimes here. And we know he's an Illinois guy, not a Chicago guy. There's a difference between the two. Be careful now. There's a difference between Chicago guy and being from the state. But I just think that when you have a new regime in place, they have a right to be able to put their stamp on it and the kind of players that they want. I mean, Ben Johnson's career with the Lions was about dynamic players, difference-making players. Across the board, you saw that Lions team, CJ, and you saw a team that had two running backs, and that's something they got to address too. 2 running backs. They had 2 tight ends. They had an iron gate for an offensive line. Strong defense. Like, they built that thing. The Lions were the shits for a long time. And then what they did is that they really took their time incrementally building the line of scrimmage first, and then you have a dynamic offense. And it's led by Jared Goff. Of all the success, and again, no Super Bowl for them yet, but the point is, though, the way they built it, they said, okay, we just need a veteran that can just hold it down. Just a veteran quarterback. Not great, but just someone that has ball control, that can get the ball out quickly, and they went with Jared Goff. And they've shown they have success, but all the success comes from what they've done at the line of scrimmage first, though. The offensive defensive line. So, and then the Bears take a tight end with the first draft in this regime.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm not. I know, Cuzzo, you are down. I can see it on your face. You're not happy with the pick, but
I hate
it doesn't. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to address the lines moving forward in this draft or accumulate more picks. It just won't be the top of the line guy.
So
yeah, but go ahead, Wiley. I'm just saying, but when you're at 10, you kind of had your, you're at the buffet table. Really, you can pretty much get whatever you want. And was tight end necessary? I don't think so. You had players there who could affect your offensive and defensive lines, and that was your biggest need coming into the draft and coming into this offseason. Yes, they addressed it again up the middle, but you still need, your tackles on the end. You still need your edge rusher. I just don't think that pick at number 10 to take a tight end was what the Bears needed at that point. Like, I don't hate it maybe like Wiley does, but at the same time, I don't love it either.
Here's my thinking, guys. I'm looking at this pick, and I'm going to give Ben Johnson the benefit of the doubt. Like, he's earned that with the success he's had in Detroit. He's earned the benefit of the doubt on which players he likes and which players he believes can help his offense. I hate the pick at 10, and I'm curious, would he have been there at 39? Is this a kid who could be on the board at 39? So did we reach for Loveland and we didn't need to? Because I think the Panthers still go the Colts still go with Warren at 14 if we don't take Loveland. So did we need to draft a tight end this early? Is he a guy who could have been on the board at 39? I still wonder if that's the case. But again, Ben Johnson's earned the benefit of the doubt because of what he's done in Detroit. So if he believes this is the kid that he can help his offense, take the Bears to the next level, I'm willing to be patient and give the guy a chance. But on the surface, he was not the player I would have drafted, if you gave me 10 picks in the first round.
Well, to be fair, Loveland's a first round pick. He absolutely is a first round pick. No question. Now, if not the Bears, Cuzzo, somebody would have taken him in this first round of this draft. There was going to be 2 tight ends selected. From all the mocks that we've gone through for weeks here, there was going to be 2 guys. It was not a reach as far as his first round status. For the Chicago Bears, though, again, they did not, I'm not saying they didn't call, but I didn't see any rumors on my text about the Bears even calling to go up to get Ashton Genty. I'm glad they didn't get Ashton Genty, but I'm just saying that, you look, some we have not addressed yet on this show is that what they're going to do at the running back position. But no, Loveland would have been drafted. Some would have thought that maybe Warren would be the same tight end as Cole Kmet. That's why they got Loveland to be different at tight end. Loveland is going to be the stud tight end for this team when Cole Kmet's done. But CJ, did you just go through moments ago the contract situation for Cole Kmet? Didn't you mention just moments ago?
Yeah, it was an extension. Forgot the dollar amount, but I think it was for a 3-year
$40 million over
$40 million,
4 years.
Yeah. Sidebar: the Atlanta Falcons have taken another Georgia player, Jalen Walker, 6'1", 243.
Sick him. Absolutely. The best of the best. The best of the best right there. That's how you do that. And Arizona's pick is coming in at 16. Yeah, Cole Kmet's 26 years of age. And, again, I like the idea that you have weapons for Cole Kmet, for the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams. I just want to know, just like last year, same question, Cuzzo, like, how does he distribute the football to everyone? The Bears still have to look for a tight end, right? Like they still have they still have to look for a wide receiver, I should say. They still have to look for a wide receiver because DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Keenan Allen's off the team. Zacchaeus, I think, is like a player. I feel like that's special teams. Devin Duvernay was always a special teams guy, if I can remember that, from Jacksonville and Baltimore. So if Tyler Scott's not a thing, if he's not going to impress the coaches, they got to find themselves another tight end. I'm sorry, another wide receiver. I keep saying tight end because I'm stuck on Loveland, but they need another wide receiver.
Just sort of off topic with Tyler Scott, Hood. He seemed to be getting open at will his rookie season, and then year 2 he didn't play at all. Like, did Tyler Scott like fuck one of Eberflus's daughters or something like that? Like, was there something that were unaware of that made them put him to the back of the bench when they needed a straight line speed guy on the field? Like, what was it that happened that made him not get on the field at all? At first I thought it was Waldron. I'm like, okay, Waldron doesn't like him. And then when Waldron was fired, I'm like, okay, well, Tyler Scott, he got activated when Waldron was fired. Okay, he'll see the field. No, he was just a special teams guy. So something happened that made him go from the second and third option to not playing at all in year 2.
Well, you remember that last season with Justin, where they tried to use Tyler Scott, and he just had some really bad drops throughout the course of the season, where I just think the trust level with him just dissipated. So I don't know where that leaves him. Like, he just may be a special teams guy, but yeah, you're going to need a slot receiver at some point in this draft, unless you're just planning on seeing what you can find in free agency. But again, another area of need for the Bears, where now you're looking at you got 2 picks in the second round. Are you going to use one of those to get a wide receiver when you still need help on the offensive and defensive lines to try to bolster? That's these are questions that he's got to answer.
One of those picks are running back, right?
Hold on a second. We are not a dome team. Okay, we're not a dome team. We're not
yet.
All that shit. Not in a few years when they put the shovel in the ground in Arlington. Yes, we'll be a dome team. We could do this. I'm saying that in the trenches, you have to be able to be right. Like, all this offensive weaponry is cool. Is it still going to be vital and productive in December and hopefully in January? That's the question. We haven't seen that. Like, that shit only works in Green Bay. Yeah, where the offense works in, no matter the temperature, especially when Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback. It didn't matter that if it was snowing or if it was bad weather. In Lambeau, it worked. In Chicago, it has not worked enough. And so, I hope Ben Johnson realizes that, when he puts the whistle around his neck, when he goes to Soldier Field, there's nothing there. There's no roof on that thing. I just want to make sure that this defense and this offensive line is solid.
Well, speaking of defense,
yeah.
Speaking of defense, another defensive tackle just went off the board. The Cardinals took Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. So now you got to start asking. Yeah, now you got to start asking questions, as we are seeing, defensive linemen just kind of running a little bit of a run here in these last 6 or 7 picks. What's going to be available to the Bears when they get to their next pick in the second round?
Poles is on his couch now with the cover pulled over. He's good. He's done for the night. Got his tight end. Nighty night.
Been a wild night. He's a party animal. Come on now. He's a party animal.
My man said it's gonna be wild. This whole thing's gonna be this draft could be wild.
Zimas. He's just great night. Great night.
He gets wild. He doesn't cuss at his house. He says bazinga.
Yeah.
he's man. I don't know, guys. But if nothing else, Wiley, you must be happy about what the Bears have done so far as the accumulation of talent that they put here in the offseason. You have to be happy about that, if nothing else, tonight.
Oh, no doubt about it. Like, I'm thrilled from the coaching hires, Ben Johnson. You got a proven defensive coordinator, former head coach, who, when he has coached defenses, the defenses have been in the top 10 for like the past decade. So offensive defensively, I think you got the right guys at the helm calling plays. I love what they did in the middle because they needed to really fix that, and if they can stay healthy, I think they're going to have a great offensive line. So I'm happy with everything they've done. Just this pick just wasn't one that, I was like, oh, Loveland's my guy. So this is why I want to defer to Ben Johnson right now, because I think he's earned that trust based on what he's done throughout his career, especially in Detroit. So I'm willing to give him benefit of the doubt on the Loveland pick, because if he is Laporta, then, hey, you know what? You're the man, Ben Johnson. Even more reasons why you're the man, because you identified a guy who can help the offense and he has success. But if he is the kid that we drafted with Pace draft that ended up getting traded to Miami, that D3 kid at tight end, then like what the fuck? What do we do? Like we didn't need that. Like, we didn't need a tight end to me. So it was a luxury pick. And if Ben loves it, great. Go Bears. But yeah, it didn't get my juices flowing when I saw it. I was like, oh shit.
Leave your comments as we start to wrap up our draft coverage for the Chicago Bears. CJ, I just think that the Chicago Bears' next thing is to find out what you want to do at running back, because DeAndre Swift I thought was fine last year, not great, but he was fine as a running back. But I feel like the beginning of the end is happening for Roschon Johnson, where they, this is what was scary for me, because I'm like, you don't need a running back at 10. So I'm glad that Ashton Genty was taken before him, went to the Raiders. But at some point, you want to bolster your running game as well. I thought it was a little above pedestrian at best, especially with Johnson being out. Right now in that depth chart, you have those two I just mentioned. Travis Homer is more of a special teamer, and Ian Wheeler, who was made my wife cry because of the injury, because he's with his mother the entire time. That was her favorite part of the Hard Knocks, by the way, is of Ian Wheeler being injured for the rest of the season. My man out of Howard University, if I'm not mistaken. So the running back position is got to be bolstered as well. It took it to the tight end, so they got, I think, one more position to go.
Yeah.
Which kind of underscores Wiley's point of why are we taking the tight end at 10? Because if you get an offensive or defensive lineman off the board at 10, you've now got a ton of options of what to work with. You almost have to, with these next two picks, one of them may have to be a running back. You're really kind of run out of options, and again, we can defer to Ben Johnson. This is why we brought him here, to be the head coach, to be able to build this offense. We trust, or we're going to trust that, he knows what he's doing. I just don't make that pick at 10 with a tight end. I think that's something you can, again, get a free agency, a veteran presence opposite Cole Kmet. But here we are. So Ryan Poles is really going to have to pull some magic tricks with these next 2 to 3 picks. And he has to hit. Like, these have to be no doubters, difference makers that are going to come in right away to help the team. Because if he screws up on any one of these next 3 picks, you got to start really looking at him at this point.
No question.
And like,
no question. No question about it. Chuck D says, and Chuck D, I'm a big fan of your work. Johnson's offense uses tight ends quite a bit. It's probably his call. Yeah, Chuck D is absolutely his call. He's the head coach of the football team, and so even though he's an offensive coordinator with the Lions and now the head coach of the team, it's about balance for me, right? It's about, do you know defense enough to know that you need to be able to have defensive linemen to be able to make plays? Because nobody got to the quarterback enough for me to be satisfied with this football team. Shamar Stewart from off the edge goes to the Bengals, and
another one.
So that's another defensive player that's gone. So Chuck D, absolutely, this is a Johnson call.
Fight the power, Chuck D. Yes.
That B. Yes. Absolutely. Couple of housekeeping items. So, guys, young Sanders is still in the green room. I saw on the screen there's like some kind of little party that he's at right now. He's not in the green room, but he's with family and friends and whoever else, and he's still waiting to be drafted.
Steelers.
21, is it? Steelers?
I think 23.
20 Steelers are Steelers are at 21.
Okay. Yeah.
Do the Vikings take him at 24? I know they already have McCarthy, but do they really believe in McCarthy? I don't know.
They just spent a lot of money for McCarthy last year. They traded like multiple picks for him, so I think they have to go. They better believe in him if they gave up all that. So yeah, I think it's probably pretty much guaranteed Steelers. It's not a bad situation to go into. And I'll say this, it's probably not popular. To me, he was the best quarterback in his draft. Like I thought he was the best quarterback in his draft was Sanders. And I know Ward was to love. People loved Ward, but I thought like looking at them and talent around them, I thought to me, I saw your look, Cuzzo. You're like, he sucks, but yeah, I thought
no. The look is that you didn't see Cam Ward play. That's what that look was. Because all of us and all of our friends watch Colorado for one reason. Now don't do that. Now don't do that. Don't come in here with that. We watched late night watching the Sanders kid because it's Deion's child. That's why we watch, because we want to see the Colorado Magic. We haven't seen so many black folks take over that area, moving down there just for Deion, as if he's going to be there for 20 years, moving in the area, right? College town. They were there to be able just to watch Deion. We've never seen so much star power. Black Hollywood came to Colorado to watch on the sidelines, as if it's Texas or Alabama or Georgia or one of these teams, like USC, where the stars come out, right? Colorado, they only came for Deion. So you didn't watch Cam Ward. That's why you say that, because you saw all of Shedeur. That's what that happened there.
I'm a
correct.
Fan. I'm a fan. Plus the GOAT gave him his blessing. If Brady likes him, that's good enough for me too.
Brady also likes Caleb.
I love Caleb right now.
This guy here is just gonna be pumping the tires of Shedeur Sanders. I like Shedeur. All the games I saw him, I liked him at times, but I think that this whole drawing it up in the dirt thing, that's not gonna work in the National Football League. I'm just saying. And if he works for Brother Tomlin, that definitely is gonna stop.
Oh, no.
He will stay in the pocket and get pounded. This whole thing of running around and doing, just like Caleb did at times, 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, doing loop-de-loops. Oh, no. The league is too fast for you to be running around the yard. Even though, we watch the National Football League and only a handful of guys that can do that. Patrick Mahomes at the top of that list. Josh Allen at the top of that list. Guys that can move around the pocket and get first downs. But that's not for everybody. Everybody can't do that. So
I agree.
So I'm just saying that's something we got to keep our eyes on. We got to watch that. So if there's any other comments, let us know, and we'll wrap up here because we know the Bears ain't going to do anything else. And as we wait for other comments to come in, gentlemen, so over the last 48 hours or so, I've talked to certain colleagues around the NFL and broadcasting, and they're in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I don't know if you two, Wiley, I'm sure that he goes to far remote places, CJ. You got to understand my cousin. We can't find him after half the year, and he's usually in small remote places running out of homes because there's a shotgun that's going after him. But nonetheless, running away from parents. But I would say that that Green Bay, Wisconsin, for some of the people that have gone to the draft, they said this probably will not happen again because, as you could imagine, Green Bay, Wisconsin is not Milwaukee. And as far as trying to find places to stay, like the hotel situation is not great there. And if you think the hotel situation is not great there, I hear that the Airbnb, that situation is worse. So it's not many places to go. You can't stay in Milwaukee because that's almost 2 hours away from Green Bay. So that doesn't work. So now it's like Appleton and places in between and trying to get in where you fit in. And don't forget the National Football League takes a lot of spots, right? They take a lot of space from a hotel standpoint. So for people to stay, like the media and other, that's pretty tough.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure your colleagues are going to, be talking about that. And the NFL probably needs to look at this, as the spectacle it is. You got to be in some places where, you can handle all of that traffic. So they might. I'm not saying they are going to do like the WWE route and just pick, select cities that is going to be able to handle all of this type of stuff. But yeah, Green Bay, no, we can't do that again, like ever.
If we're being honest, though, like who would want to voluntarily spend time in Green Bay? Just who would do that? Like I don't know anyone. Maybe someone who's going to the Packers game, but yeah, just I want to go to Green Bay and hang out.
If it's right, you'd be there. You'd be there. You'd gas up the truck and go. Absolutely. If it was right, cuzzo, we know we could find it. Hood, I was in Green Bay. It's unbelievable. Like I know that you'd find a way there. Get yourself some brats and other things.
Oh, that's 18. Offensive guard off the board. Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. It's an interesting pick for the Seahawks.
Strange.
Yeah.
That's a reach.
Should be a lot. Looks like it's going to be a lot of talent on the board in the second round for the Bears. So maybe even a trade up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
well,
the offensive linemen, defensive linemen are flying off the board right now. So they should have the pick of running backs. If they want one of those.
You know what? You know, guys, will save this draft is if the Bears had a deal in place for Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals.
Who went with the Bengals?
Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
If he's 30 years of age, but I mean he had 17 and a half sacks last year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I believe I have the number right on that. But I mean, imagine if the Bears swung that deal. Now that's better than a draft pick because he is going to be traded from the Bengals someplace. Now they're just looking for a suitor.
I would take him.
I would definitely take him.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson's 30 years of age. I know that age may not be great, but the point is that he led the National Football League with 17 and a half sacks. He did it, I think, almost 2 years in a row. So he has been a monster. Now you add that on the defensive line. Now you got something.
Yeah.
So Ben Johnson, the head coach for the Chicago Bears, gets his way as he gets himself a tight end. Loveland from Michigan is first pick in the draft for the Chicago Bears. And looks like there won't be any movement up or down as far as we can tell with the Bears, but they got their guy, the tight end. As much as the Bears need offense and defensive line help, they went with tight end for the pick. Glad it wasn't running back, but they went tight end. So, again, an embarrassment of riches offensively for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. That's all cool, but at some point on the flip side, you got to be able to get to the quarterback. You got to be able to punch that ball out, get turnovers, and hopefully that'll be the case for the Bears this upcoming season. So we thank everybody for checking out the podcast, and you guys been hanging in there. And again, thank you so much for adding some comments to our show. But this is where we are. Bears get a tight end, and I'm like in the middle with this. Like it's not thumbs up, that's not thumbs down. It's thumbs in the middle right now, especially to see what else happens with this draft. I hope to have you guys on again to wrap up the draft next week so we can talk about this because the Bears are not done.
No,
I'll
not
be here.
in the least. I'll definitely be here.
Wiley's seething. He
hates this pick. He hates this pick so much.
He's tired, but he's also a man that would prefer something else in this draft. Well, we'll see what happens with the rest of the draft. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, sir.
Don't forget to catch the Cap and J Hood Morning Show, 7 to 10 on ESPN 1000 and also on the ESPN Chicago app. We'll be breaking it down Friday morning. And, of course, we'll have a wrap-up here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to everything we do here at Under the Hood, like the special right now, or the NFL Draft, or the NBA Draft, or the things that come to my mind. Make sure that you subscribe to us on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood.